Okay. Well, welcome everybody. This is the February special, How You Align Your Thoughts with Your Purpose Q&A. We do this every month to invite our special guests in our community to discover how they truly align their thoughts with their purpose. We set this up with a conversation first with our special guests, and then we open it up for Q&A, and we record the first beginning of this conversation. And we have an amazing, for those of you who don't know or just listening, I get to be the host of this unique experience and the coach and founder of One Light Ahead, One Light Academy, and all the amazing things that we get to do with that organization. And we are blessed to have an immense amount of people that we get to surround ourselves and serve, including other amazing coaches like Mr. Mike Mason, who is joining us today. And you get to share, you have an immense amount of history and wisdom and perspective, and I'm excited. Is there anything you want to start us off with before I get into a set of questions for you?
Well, I question the wisdom part, but lots of experiences, yeah. And maybe I transmuted them into wisdom.
Ideally, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and you were also a graduate of our Living Unlayered retreat experience and getting ready to graduate from our self-lead. I'm going to have some fun doing this today. You're also getting ready a couple more weeks and you'll graduate from our self-leadership experience. And then you'll also dive into our home run experience this month as well. So you're getting an immense deep dive. And Rita, we got to meet you recently at the Top Golf experience in the middle of all that fun stuff. So you got to see us at our best in the middle of that. So Mike, is there anything you want to give a little bit of your history first before we dive into some questions or anything? Because one of the things we set you up for is to share the Superman aspect of your peace and love and how you align your thoughts and how all this journey has helped you discover that at a deeper level.
Well, I'll dive right into the Superman archetype, if you will. Of course, I didn't call it that when I was 8 years old. And then I think in 8th grade, when I finally decided that Superman is my man, it's like, it was just like this humble, strong person who just went about his business. Sorry, let me back up. In 8th grade, no, it was all about the feats of strength, right? It was all about the accomplishments. And later on, as I evolved and matured through life, I realized what a beautiful archetype Superman is. Now he's got layers of him, right? Of which is the Clark Kent version. But like when called upon, he, literally peels away the layers, which is perfect because the name of your book is called Slaying the Onion, and it's all about peeling the layers away. And underneath that layer is, this purpose. And so I actually, I wrote an article for a magazine. Oh, gosh. Wow, December of 13. So it was 10 years ago. So I wrote about, I won't read you the whole article, the full page, but in there I wrote about superheroes in general. I said many of us, for many of us, modern day superheroes, especially the DC and the Marvel variety, have replaced traditional mythological figures as a way to identify our potential, maybe even our purpose. Superheroes are contemporary archetypes, and oh, how we can relate. Most of the superheroes' backstories are riddled with episodes of physical pain, tragic loss, internal torment, as well as courage, hope, and redemption. And I just think that what we saw played out since then was, between the Marvel and DC movies was just that. If you look at the backstories of where these folks have come from and what they're accomplished. And by the way, I use the word heroes generally. It's heroines are just the same, and anybody who's followed those movies, Wonder Woman was definitely the top 3 best hero out there. So this is not applicable to just men or just the masculine energy. And so somewhere along the line, and April has full editing privileges all the time, of course, which she likes to do. But originally I had this concept of, let me see if it shows up. It was peace, love, and purpose. And so that's been my motto for many years now. And, the purpose, again, is, well, sometimes it is the uniform. Sometimes it is the Clark Kent. And other times we need to call upon something a little bit bigger than ourselves, which, again, I reference I reference that in this article too. I just say that, um, am I Superman? Far from it, but I was able to draw the strength I needed from something outside of me, hoping that it would become me in the process. And I say it's just another way superheroes save us. So having these archetypes are beautiful, and it's nothing new. Human culture has been doing this for thousands of years, you know, but it's looked in forms of gods, demigods, and mythological creatures. But, you know, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about, okay, how do we live lives of purpose? And that, well, I'll let you peel away those kind of questions, but that's the archetype behind, or the story behind the Superman. And by the way, I mean, he's
Everybody's a
here.
picture that
He's
you
on my
shared and you
computer.
shared.
He's on my coffee mug or my tea mug. He's on my car. So I give myself subtle reminders about it. Yeah.
Well, and Mike, it comes back to the choice, right? And so as you worked your way through the self-leadership program and the walking of the mat experience that some have experienced in the room, some are getting ready to experience in the room, what has been the journey from, and we'll go all the way back to our lunch meeting at William Jessup, and probably a couple other things. You and I have crossed paths, Mike, through the chamber, which I'm literally sitting in the chamber office now. We literally would keep crossing paths over and over again. And then just recently, we ran into each other at my alma mater at William Jessup, and we're just literally having lunch and crossed paths, and then met again and discovered you had a statement that everybody loved to hear multiple times, that we helped give you another perspective of that statement. Do you remember what that statement is?
Did it have the word plan in it a few
It
times?
sure does, yes.
So I was, you know, April, we eventually said, hey, let's catch up. It's been a while. I hadn't talked to you in a while, find out what you're doing. And at that point, I was in this kind of, I wouldn't call it plateau. I probably just, and I wouldn't call it stagnation. I was just in a holding pattern. And I believe it was the right place for me at the right time. And so I had some interchanges, and she had me take what turned out to be a rather deep, revealing, yet simple assessment, self-assessment. I said, well, my plan not to have a plan is going according to plan. And I think more than anybody else on this call, Rita knows me the longest and the best, and that was never like me. I never did not have a plan. It was always like full steam ahead and go. I was type A personality, and how do I get this accomplished, and da da da. And so it was unlike me to become very contemplative and just, okay, what's going on here? What direction am I supposed to be going? Because I tried this, it's not working. I tried that, it's not working. What's right? And as many sages will say, as wisdom traditions will tell us, you know, be still. I think that's Psalm 46:10, if anybody wants to correct me on that. Yeah, I think it's be still and know that I am the Lord, or be still and sometimes just being still is the right place. So since then, and that was only in November. So we're at November, December, January. We're only like a little three. I mean, everything has just completely flourished for me in professionally, many aspects. I don't want to turn this into a brag fest, but it's been it's just been really cool, all the opportunities that have shown up for me. That's the cool thing about it. These things are just showing up and just like happening as soon as the time and the place was right, and as soon as I was right. And I think even, Maria, you don't have to comment on it if you don't want to talk about it, but like it was a little over, it was about a year before that. Maria and I would meet about once a week, and we just kind of coach each other. Maria's got lots of experience in the business realm, and she, I think we say was a business and life coach as well. And I think compared to a year ago, Maria, and gosh, I hope I'm not saying anything inappropriate here, but we were both train wrecks about a year ago. It's like,
oh dear God.
and
We
so
don't like to talk about that wreck.
yeah, we were both not in good places. And you look fast forward a little while, but it wasn't, I don't think either of us were passive about the steps that we took, but we were contemplative about them. And that was the big thing. It wasn't like this going at something with this pit bull tenacity. It was more like, all right, we're at the points in our lives where we're like resourceful and connected. And then we can, if we want, work a spiritual aspect of it in there as
It
well.
had to be done that way though, Mike. It had to be done that way. There was nothing for, you could not force anything. It was not, it was not going to withstand a force.
It wasn't going to work.
No.
The force, yeah, I agree.
But, and Mike, that leads, Maria, thank you for chiming in. And Mike, that leads perfectly into that, you know, interaction as what we've talked about is that every interaction is an opportunity to connect. Every interaction is a chance to meet people where they're at. And so when you went through the discovery phase of your thought patterns and how up to 95% of them may have been holding you hostage in some aspect, then you got to discover a couple new tools to retrain your brain and your muscle memory. And then you got to go physically walk them out in a whole nother experience with a group of people that did not know you and work to connect with them, meet them where they are, share who you are and how you wanted to connect, and then get to live who you are choosing to be from that experience there. Is there anything that resonated or you want to pinpoint from that?
Yes, I would. So two things come to mind right away. Number one is whenever you first presented the opportunity to get involved with the Living Unlayered program, I was resistant. So despite the fact that I'm sitting here going, oh, you just got to stay open and, you know, the opportunities will show up, there was still that part of me that was like shelled up and resistant. And I have to thank Rita for the one who was just like doing it. I was like, I don't think I need it. And, you know, her answer sometimes is, And I go, all right, Jiminy Cricket, well, what do you know that I don't know? And she said, look, you know, this is an opportunity. And, you know, she was just very in her own gentle way, because she knows how to talk with me. Her own gentle way, she was like, this is a cool opportunity. Why wouldn't you want to do something like that? So yeah, that's number one. And number two, I was also resistant to the outcomes of the assessment, because I'm like, it's just assessment. All I did was rearrange some sentences, you know, a few times, and didn't realize that there's, you know, thousands of hours of science behind this. And that, yeah, once that resistance broke down, I remember the first time we met, I go, that's not true. That's not me. That's not true. And then later on the line, they go, that's me. Yeah, that's me. And so what the biggest, I'll just say, I'll fast forward to the biggest breakthrough that I saw in the Living Unlayered retreat was how much, first of all, I do have a life where I have my stuff together. I look at my health, relationship, I look at my business, I look at my family, you know, finances. I couldn't ask for a better position in life. And yet I found those were I discovered through the help of you and the other people in the room that I was kind of like living this, I had this protective layer around me. And so, yeah, a lot of those things, yeah, your health, everything was up here, finances and health, and it's very logical and all that. And so it was not an easy discovery, by the way. You know, April, I was resistant. Actually, Rita got an earful from me that night. I went, this is just BS. I can't believe I got, you know, this stuff is pointed out to me, and man, blah, blah, blah. And I was very resistant, and it took a while. Within 36 hours, I was kind of like, all right, what's the next steps to do this? Because I believed it. And it was really about opening up the heart more. And I had conversations with Rita. And by the way, Rita is my first ex-wife. Unfortunately, there's two, but we reconnected about a year ago, and we're like dear friends and co-grandparenting together. So I made sure to do a check-in with all those close to me, and I said, hey, how am I? Am I head and am I heart? And what's going on here? It turns out that they all basically said, Rita, do you remember the number that you gave me? Correct me if I'm wrong. Or do you want to tell me, well, what percentage of head and heart was I, according to you?
Was it 50-50?
50-50. So I found out that and my children, just in separate conversations, sorry, our children in separate conversations said the same thing. And those close to me said the same thing. So I go, why am I showing up so guarded with people that I don't know as well? And that was like a real discovery for me. And I think I was out trying to like prove myself. I think I was, very much, I didn't say it like that, but look at me, and I realized that's not who I want to be. It's certainly not the way Clark Kent would do it. We know that, right? It's like, So maybe that's the archetype there. Maybe I need to be a little more Clark Kent at times, especially when I first meet people, and be more interested in them and be a better listener, and more receptivity rather than trying to run the group that you're running, April. So it was a deep lesson, and it's been work. It's been actually the biggest work, the most work I've done, not because it's hard to do, or not because it's the wrong thing to do, because it's a pattern, habit to break. And then I also, the other part of that too, and the work I did within the group was just to be more, I should say, less tense. I tend to, throughout my life, Rita, correct me if I'm wrong, always had this. Some people have like, I need to like get my energy up and take a cold shower and pound my chest. I'm the opposite. I need to like find a way to bring myself down. And I just want to illustrate that by, I golf Saturday with dear friends from college I've known for 35 years. And in 3 separate conversations, because there was 4 of us golfing, 3 independent of them, all 3 of them came up to me, basically said in a matter of word differences, they go, you need to relax more out here. So it's still showing up. So it's not one and done. It's not one and done, but I'm on the right path.
Well, and Mike, to wrap up the conversation piece, and then we'll open it up for questions and shut down the recording. One of the things you said very, very intensely is, as coaches, as individuals that are on stage at all times, it is natural to want to use our gifting to serve and to invest in others and to be purposeful about how we're growing others. Yet when we step into receive mode and when we step into the participant mode, then it's a different mindset. It's a different framework in which it is about literally looking in the mirror and discovering where we are in the lessons and tools that were being provided. And not only did you add so much value to the people in the room, yet they also gave you a beautiful feedback of the opportunity to say, yes, we've got to find out how amazingly wise and wisdom and tools you have in your back pocket. And yet we just, the bridge that we wanted to build was, who is Mike in the heart?
Yeah.
And what a beautiful way of sharing the journey you went through and how willing you were to say, yes, I want to be able to do that with all of the people I get to touch and the people
I was not willing at all. It took
not
work.
at the moment, no.
No. It took more than one. It took more than one, like kind of like, poke in the forehead before I really, really heard it.
Exactly.
But yes, it did turn into willingness eventually.
It was beautiful. Yes. It was really, really powerful. So is there anything else you want to wrap up with before we open it up to questions?
No.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and click yes.